county of Worcestershire really is a fabulous place to live. From the vibrant cathedral city of Worcester to the wonderful lifestyle of countryside living at its very best. At RJ Country Homes, we specialise in selling village and country properties across this glorious county. And, together with property industry experts, we will be giving you some top tips and expert advice about moving home and guiding you along the way. Staging a home prior to it going on the market has many advantages. It tends to sell in a much quicker time period and for more money. But what is this concept and where does it come from? Joining me today is Kate Foster from Lemon and Lime Interiors. Kate, thank you for joining us.
Oh, pleasure. Nice to see you.
Yeah, lovely to see you too. Now, it's a really interesting topic of conversation, staging. Tell us a little bit about where it comes from.
I think it originated in the States, although lots of other countries around the world use it, but it's very, very new here. Really, it's getting more common, but it's been an ongoing battle, I think, to get people to see the benefit of it.
Yeah, I think you're right. In America, we look at agents or realtors, as they call them. Yeah. It's a standard process. They stage all of their homes. We seem to be a little bit behind here in the UK. Why do you think that is?
I think just the property market in general is different here. People just see it as, I'll find an agent, I'll put the house on the market, let's see if it sells, rather than it being a proper business decision. Mm-hmm. And so, like in America, people will probably move out of the house even and getting it staged, whereas here people are still living in it. I think it's almost like they feel, I'll find the cheapest agent, put the house on at the highest price and see how we go.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a different process. It's a quick process in America. From instruction to when it can complete is really, really speedy, whereas here the whole process is longer. Our mindsets perhaps are a little bit different. Do you think that's why perhaps we haven't cottoned on?
And also people don't see the value in investing before you actually sell.
Yeah.
So they just think they can, somebody will come around with a camera, take photographs, put it on the market and it'll sell.
Yeah. Rather
than actually spending some time, some effort, some money, and it's a proper investment.
It is. And I think you touched upon a really good word, value. It adds loads of value and not everyone understands that. How do you break that barrier? You meet a client and they're not fully sure of the concept. How do you overcome any objections?
I think it's about talking figures. I think when you get down to money, if you say to people, okay, well, if I put the house on the market at, like this, you'll get this. But if actually you spent a bit of money, you could probably get this.
Yes.
And the bit in between, the value, the added value is huge. The investment is far smaller in most cases.
What do you find the value could be? What sort of return?
It's often tens of thousands. Yeah. So you might spend, 5 to 10,000 on doing some work to the house, and that could be anything from decorating, carpeting. It might be minimal to just a good tidy up, but the difference at the end is huge.
And do you find there is still, when you're going out to clients now, this is something that you do on a daily basis, are people more on board with it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's probably a generational thing. And the people who are used to moving house more often understand it. I think if you get to maybe the generations who've been in a house for 40, 50 years, that's quite different. But again, if you talk about it financially and the difference it can make, nearly everybody's on board.
Yeah, all of a sudden their eyes light up and they think, really?
Yeah.
And I suppose a before and after, they could see some before and afters, which we're going to show you now. I think sometimes a visual can really help.
Exactly. Yeah. Visuals and money.
Yes, two winners, visuals and money. So let's look at Hill Farm. And Hill Farm was a really interesting one for you.
It was a lovely farmhouse that family had been in for a long time, well used, family with lots of kids. So it was quite relaxed. It wasn't staged at all. And the agent was very clever and just said, look, before we even start to market it, can you come in and help?
Yeah.
I think we spent about 0.2% of the value, or sorry, the client spent 2% of the value in actually getting us in, and we decluttered. We changed the use of some of the rooms. So for instance, they had a formal dining room that they were using as a study.
Right.
So we completely put the dining room somewhere else, made that into a proper study because of the sort of the home working scenario at the moment. Put the dining room somewhere else, which made more sense anyway.
Yes.
So we changed that, and it made the study a lovely big study. It could be photographed really well.
Sitting room? Did you do the sitting room?
We did the sitting room. We advised her to decorate, and then we decluttered like mad, and then brought our cushions in just to fluff it up a bit.
Yes.
And they had a huge, big. It's like a dumping ground, really, but it was a big games room for the kids.
Okay.
So we smartened that up. So they had a big table tennis right in the middle of it, but actually we put the dining table in there, and then put sofas around a TV area. So it looked very much like an entertaining space, but it was still quite relaxed. But it was huge, so it was perfect for family.
So it's utilising the spaces so it flows better and functions better as a home.
Exactly, and they had a reasonably small kitchen with quite a big table in it. We moved the table out and put it into the adjoining room, which was a lovely big orangery.
Yeah.
So it made it look like you got a much bigger kitchen space,
Yeah.
and then a much bigger eating area as well.
Yeah, so it's just making the most out of a client's home. Sometimes little things and sometimes big things, I suppose.
Yeah, but that was a very small outlay for. They got 105,000 more than the asking price, and it went under offer within 7 days.
It just shows, doesn't it, the advantages that it not only gets you more money, it tends to sell in a quicker time period as well.
It does, and it helped the client with her moving too, because she got rid of a lot of stuff she didn't want. Firstly, because she was downsizing from a big family home, but also packed the bits that she was going to take, so it made the whole move easier as well.
Yeah. And you've spoken about decluttering. Is that the biggest thing when you go into people's
Yes,
homes?
absolutely.
We just collect all this stuff over the years. I don't know where it comes from. But
Loads of stuff everywhere. So and we are quite brutal.
Yeah.
And you might think, gosh, that looks quite bare when you've done it, because you've been used to, lots of things around you. But actually, in photographs, it looks so much better.
Yeah. And I think it's always, especially we're talking about homes going on the market. We always say to clients, think of it as you are moving. Pack those things up, put them in boxes, do a charity run, and it really puts you in that mindset of you are actually moving. And I think it really does help with the mindset when you're already thinking that way. And the more you start clearing things, actually, I think they do tend to then come on board and go, I quite like this. Yeah. How was I living with the bits and bobs around? And it's getting that balance, isn't it? We still want to make it homely, but we don't want it to be cluttered. How do we get that balance?
I think just having a pared back look, I think, is absolutely fine. I don't think you can. I mean, you can perhaps overdo it a little bit, but if you as a really good example is if you take your phone, take a picture of your own home and have a look at it, you go, oh gosh, that looks quite cluttered.
Yes.
And then we do it with clients all the time, just to say, just have a look, because you just don't notice things around. Yeah. And I think that works really well, but I don't think you can over declutter, to be honest.
No, I suppose not. Less is more. And what about colour schemes? Are we still going with neutral?
Yeah, we can. We would always say keep pushing neutral. You can add things with artwork and cushions and make it colourful if you want to. Yeah. So don't go too bland and boring.
Yeah.
But it's finding the right balance, because it could be anybody of any age and any style who's buying a house. You've got to cater for as many people as possible, which is quite hard. Yeah, so I think it's keeping it middle of the road, not too over the top, not too contemporary, and just trying to think, okay, we'll appeal to as many people as possible. Yeah.
What's been one of your biggest projects that you've gone in and thought, oh, blimey, where are we going to start here?
There's been quite a lot of those. I mean, they tend to be, I can't think of anyone in particular, because there's lots of, it's mainly big family homes, and it's mainly teenagers, dare I say it?
Oh gosh, yes, we've got some of those. And
I think it's getting those to kind of agree to it all as well, and seeing the benefit and thinking, okay, we're going to be moving house, but look what we're moving to. Yeah. Maybe they'll do, a bit of they'll help as well.
Yeah. Do you help in terms of the scents and everything as well? Obviously, there's all the dressing, but then it's that kind of lovely smell when you get through the front door and you've got a nice fragrance, or...
Yeah, we do. I mean, we don't, but we can say to people, we put diffusers in houses nice, quite often, yes, and get people to light candles and do the right thing when they know they've got a viewing.
Yeah. And then curb appeal, do you help them in terms of, smarten up your front door or pots either side?
We do everything. My background is an estate agent. Yes. So, we look at right from when you drive up the drive, so everything from, cutting your hedges or whatever it might be, to the gravel. We've asked people to, I had one example where I actually asked them to drain the drive. We actually did it, but you drove up to it and there was a massive puddle as you got out of the car.
It's that first impression, isn't it?
Yeah,
You can't
exactly.
get it back.
So, and it was the only place a viewer would probably drive up to. Yeah. So I didn't know how to drain a drive, but we got somebody who did, so we got them involved. So yes, it's absolutely everything. First impressions and also last impressions. So asking people, perhaps if they've got a small driveway, to take some of the cars away, so that when a viewer turns up, they can come in, perhaps turn round. There's nothing worse than having to back out onto a busy main road. They're probably never going to buy that house.
Yeah. And I think working with your agent so that if there are multiple viewings, there isn't going to be that. We want to try and make it as easy as possible.
So it's the whole look of a house, not just interiors.
Yeah. So if we can look at top tips, if we start externally and then top tips internally.
Outside paintwork is an absolute must. Absolutely perfect. Mowing the lawn, weeding the beds, gravel drive, or if it's tarmacked or block paved, then it's being swept. It's just that really nice looked after look that people are going to think they look after this house. So actually, it's probably going to be good structurally. It's that first
reassurance, isn't it? Before they get through the front door, like you said, people want to know that it's been looked after. Great tips. And internally, top tips.
Internally, going back to the decluttering, that's so important. I think clean carpets. If it's obviously, this is a lived-in house we're talking about, so clean carpets, paintwork. If it just give it a lick of paint if it needs it. I mean, busy areas like doorways, hallways, going up the stairs where they get, bashed by kids and things like that. So, so I think the decluttering, the paintwork, clean carpets, clean floors, anything that's chipped, anything that's broken. I'm going over 3 tips, aren't I?
No, that's good. And lots of tips. And cleanliness. We haven't touched on
cleanliness, and smells and things like double glazing units if they've blown. Get those done. Don't think, we're selling it, so it doesn't matter. Get it sorted.
All in the details. Definitely. Well, thank you so much. It's been I love talking stations, so thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.